Okay, so that was a lot to go through. We added a bunch of styles in the browser, and now we need to move them over to our CSS file. So let's work our way over from the left. So first, we're floating these images over to the left. And so let's go to our style sheets, and we're going to pull up the snippet partial here. And so we're dealing with the author thumb, and we will float this to the left. We'll also give it some margin, so margin top, and let's see what that was, 37 pixels. Okay, now we'll have to come back and figure out if we want to make that relative in a moment. And that should be it for the thumbnail. So now we're adjusting the snippet content and we're floating that to the left as well. So we need to add a new selector for that. And I'm going to add some white space between our selectors here. And I'm also going to put this particular selector at the top since these other elements are actually inside of it. So we'll add a snippet content. So now because we're using a child selector on our paragraph tag, this now needs to be within the snippet content selector. You may have noticed that the text here got a little bit bigger, and that's why, because we added that wrapper div. The title and attribution, however, have specific class names that don't tie it in with the container. So those can stay unnested for now. So I'm just going to indent the paragraph. And so our snippet content is going to have a width of 372 pixels, and it has a margin left of 20 pixels, and it's being floated left. All right. And we're also setting the title to have 0 margin at the top to bump it up higher. So we'll do margin top 0. Let's save this and refresh in the browser and see what we get. Okay, these look good, minus the need for some margin between the two snippets. We just need to set the overflow for this container. And what's interesting, when we do that, we no longer need to set the clear for this section. So if we inspect the section, the full section around the snippets, and we set overflow here to auto, you can see that the contact us section is bumped down. So under what CSS selector do we add this overflow property? Well, it seems like a sane default for a section to have this. If we use floating elements in other situations, in other stacked hero sections, then we'll probably want the overflow to be auto. So it makes sense to set this as the default, and then if we need to override it later, we can create a subcomponent. So let's go to the stacked hero section partial. I'm going to jump to my editor, and I'm going to pull up hero, and here we go. Now here's a to-do. We figured out the problem there, so I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to create a new selector for stacked hero section. And it would also make sense to use ampersands to replace out stacked hero section in these other selectors. Again, the more we can reduce repetition, the easier things are to change later. So I'll nest all of these and use the ampersand. I'll indent this and add the closing bracket. And now this property is going to be in the stacked hero section itself. So we'll set it to overflow auto, and we'll save this and refresh in the browser. And there we go.